This is Christine with Eastridge High School Facts Kitchen, and I'm going to be making authentic East African paleo rice. I hope I'm saying that right. So I have my spices all laid out, which is significant amounts, and I pre-portioned them, but wanted you to see how many there were. I have the chicken broth, oil, salt, rice. It's either basmati or jasmine. Onion is diced, pepper, jalapeno, garlic, and I used this ginger. It's fresh, but it is squeezable, and I use that instead. Today I'm going to be making a double batch, so when you see me cooking it's going to be double the portion. This is the portion you will be making of 1 cup rice. Alright, and I'll be back in a second. As you can see by my stove, I have everything ready to go. I have all my spices, herbs, rice, broth, etc. I've heated my oil, heated my oil on number 7. It's hot now, and I'm going to place my onions, peppers, well, jalapeno pepper, sorry, not the red pepper, the garlic, as well as the minced garlic and the ginger. Added that all to my hot oil. And then I'm going to hang on with my helper hand. The pot is hot. You'll notice I'm using a large pot. With rice, it is usually best to use one of these kind of like cast iron pots. I don't think we have these at school. You'll just use your regular large pot. I'm going to saute these for a few minutes, probably about 5 to 6 minutes on a medium-high heat until they're translucent and tender. Our onions are translucent and slightly turned yellow. This was a white onion. Everything is soft and sauteed. Now it's time to add our spices. And I'll have to put this down while I get that in there with my hand. Oh, that is very fragrant. Interesting. You might notice that there's a cinnamon stick. Well, you will notice because you're going to be making this. Bay leaf, anise, which I have literally 200 spices in my house or more, and I did not have anise. I had the cardamom and everything else that we needed for it, but not the anise. So I'm interested in how this recipe will turn out. So we're going to go ahead and cook this for about 1 more minute, releasing the herbs and their flavors. There's also curry in there. This smells delicious. It's been about 1 minute, and it's smelling fabulous with the cinnamon sticks and anise and things that are in there. I just added in tomatoes, the diced tomatoes, and the bell pepper. I'm going to saute those for 2 to 3 more minutes. We're going to add in our rice and salt, and again, this is a double batch, so I'm doing 2 of these. You would just do 1 bowl, 1 cup, plus a teaspoon of salt. Our peppers and tomatoes are becoming more translucent and releasing their moisture, liquids, and we're stirring in the rice. We're going to cook that for about 2 minutes. I know it seems unusual, but that somewhat locks in the starch. So we're going to cook this for 2 minutes before we add the broth. We're going to add the chicken broth. It's been about 2 minutes. Add the chicken broth. Not chicken broth, vegetable broth, sorry. So that's what you would add, is the 2 cups, and I'm going to add double that because I made a double batch. I have 6 teenage boys over for supper tonight, so definitely need a larger portion than we do for school, plus the 3 adults that live in our house. So I'm going to let that cook, and first we're going to bring it to a boil, and then I'll reduce it to simmer for about 18 to 20 minutes. If I put the lid on, it would be at a halfway. Let me show you that. Don't want to keep it on fully. Okay. Tilting it. There we go. So that some of the moisture can escape. So I'm going to go ahead and let that come to a boil, and then turn it down to simmer and set my timer for 20 minutes. Remember to stir occasionally. I just wanted to point out that I did add some seasoned boneless, skinless chicken tender, boneless, skinless seasoned chicken tender meat And that is because I felt like the men in my family and the boys that are visiting would want meat. So you certainly can add any kind of meat, a sausage, meat, beef, whatever it is that you would like. You can either add it at the beginning if it's uncooked and saute it along with your onions and garlic and pepper, jalapeno pepper. Or if it's cooked like I did now, you could add it towards the end. Alright, our rice has began to boil, sorry, goodness sakes. And now I'm going to reduce my temperature from a 7-8 down to a simmer. I'm going to place my lid on partially, not totally covering it, and let that simmer, and also check that every few minutes. It should take about 20 minutes to complete cooking. And if we need to add more broth or water as we go, we will. We are about 7 minutes into our cook time. We have 13 minutes left. Starting to thicken up. Sorry. We need to remember that the bay leaves, the 2 bay leaves and the 2 cinnamon sticks, or in your case, 1 bay leaf, 1 cinnamon stick, will need to come out. So that is about how it looks, about 7 minutes in. Okay, we are at 20 minutes, and I'm going to give it a stir here. What you'll notice is that the bottom may have browned a little bit, and I'll see if I can get some of that brown up a little bit. Flip it over. Actually, I don't see too much brown, but in the Spanish culture, they would call that pegao, which some people love it. It's the more crispy stuff on the bottom. We're going to let this cook a little bit longer. Looks great, but I still don't think it's quite as soft as we want, and this is a double batch. So I'm going to do about 5 minutes longer. Yours may easily be done in the 18 to 20 minutes. Our rice, our African rice, is done now. Notice how the grains have doubled or quadrupled in size, and the grains of the rice have split open and everything's soft. Looks delicious. And I did taste it. I hate to say I tasted it ahead of time, but I did. It's wonderful. All right, guys, have fun making this.